Hello, welcome back to the Checking the Quality of Sources series for GP. We have checked the credibility of an author named David Schuckman writing about the Amazon rainforest, and he stood the test. We could trust him, at least so far so good. Today we're going to have an assessment of objectivity, which is a different part of the series because we're going to have a look at the quality of his writing. Instead of having a proper look at the author, whether we should trust him or not, we should check what he wrote in this occasion, because maybe he is a really good author but he messed this job up, so we should check his writing and value his writing on its own right. Now, checking the objectivity of sources starts with having an assessment of the concept bias before we're going to actually have a look at the quality of evidence in the parts 5, 6 and 7. So, what is a bias and how does that affect the assessment of the quality of writing? First, what is a bias? A bias is actually a prejudice, and it might be intentional or it might be caused by a lack of knowledge. Whatever the cause is, a bias is the fact that information, whether it's a data set or a story, is not representing reality because of the method used in collecting or presenting that information. We covered the concept of vested interest and the ability to observe in the previous sessions, and those could be the causes of a bias, as you can read in this slide. But the main question now is how to spot a bias, knowing what it is, a distortion of reality, how to recognize it in a source. You need to put your detective hat on, being that Sherlock Holmes, because you're actually looking for viewpoints and or evidence that is not present in a source of information. So you need to check whose voice is muted. This is our analysis of viewpoints and perspectives on David Schuckman's article on the Amazon rainforest. You can see there is a range of perspectives and viewpoints connected to support each distinctive perspective. If he would left out the half of it, simply he would not record the perspectives and viewpoints of the people who are actually exploiting the rainforest, then his article would have been clearly biased. It would have a clear prejudice in just presenting one side of the story. That makes sense, I hope. A more distinct version of a bias could be leaving out one specific viewpoint. While it's really clear that the farmers are an important aspect of the problems in the Amazon rainforest, he could have made the choice to leave them out of the story. And that, again, could have been a bias. Now, that's not the case. He covered them all. He covered the perspective, he covered most relevant viewpoints. But there is one more elaborate version of a bias, and that's simply distorting someone's argument. He might have covered the farmers, he might have said what they said, but he might have left out their evidence. He might have left out the reasons why they do what they do or why they hold that opinion. If he would do so, that's also a bias, because he would make them look horrible by doing so. He would make them look stupid. Stupid farmers doing whatever they do without even having the proper knowledge of the damage they do. Maybe they do know what they do, but they see no other option themselves. Leaving that evidence out, the explanation of why they do what they do, is a bias in itself, and actually maybe one of the dangerous ones. So, is David Schuckman's article biased? I would say it's not really biased, but we should have a look in more detail on whether he is distorting the evidence basis of the viewpoints that he is covering and who actually say something that he looks to be opposed to. That's due next time. What you should have a look at right now is that you could discover a bias by tracing the tactics of the author to cover up their prejudice or lack of knowledge up. And we have covered the balloons at the bottom. Maybe there is a lack of evidence and there is a lack of reasoned argument and judgment connected to certain viewpoints of perspectives. So far, we give him the benefit of the doubt. Next sessions, we're going to have a look at the other tactics to cover up maybe a weaknesses in the article, in his evidence, causing it to be biased. For now, so we could say nobody's voice is muted, but maybe misrepresented, and it could be a bias. Next time, we're going to have in more detail have a look on the quality of his writing.